It's swirling. Hello and welcome to the Ops Manager and the Lawyer podcast. I am Tawana Everhart, the Ops Manager,
And I am Tanya Floyd Chambers, the lawyer.
and we're here helping you learn the laws at work so that you won't make mistakes at work because mistakes cost too
Too
much
much
money.
money.
Too much money. So, this episode is sponsored by Capture It Training Solutions, your premier workplace training company, helping employers capture and correct workplace issues before they get captured in legal trouble. Capture It
Absolutely.
offers training solutions in an environment that works best for you. Facilitated by experts in the field of employment law and management, you can attend virtual live trainings, on demand trainings, or customized trainings for your company. You can find more information at www.capturit.com, and that is capture it, KAPCHURIT.com, to sign up for on demand courses or register for upcoming live trainings. This episode is also sponsored by TJ Everhart Consulting LLC, where we help organizations build unstoppable leaders, unstoppable teams, and unstoppable employees through training. You can reach out to us at www.tjeverhart.com. Listen, you can find our podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So please like, share, leave a review if you like this podcast, and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. So we have a lot of topics that we
Absolutely.
talk about, Tanya, with workplace.
Yes.
And so today we're going to talk about a hot topic. We talked about it before, but let's talk about vaccines at the workplace. So,
Absolutely, TJ. So, everybody, this is kind of a part two of what we talked about before. And we really encourage you to go and listen to that podcast where I break down what the EEOC has stated about vaccines and mandates in the workplace. And TJ and everybody, that has to be probably one of the hot topics
yeah,
going right now. I don't know if it's a day that goes by that I don't get a question about vaccines and the workplace and mandates. And so, TJ, remember you and I were talking privately earlier, and we said this quote that we probably have both heard all growing up in the South, that some folks don't believe that fat meat is greasy.
yeah, yeah. I know in our other podcast episode, we first talked
Yes.
about vaccines when it wasn't mandated yet. And we had talked about this was coming. And you mentioned, so for those of you that are
Mhm.
watching us, Tanya is an employment attorney. So we talk about workplace issues from the two perspectives, me being a management consultant now
Mhm.
and her being an employment attorney. So, the conversation, I know in a bunch of groups, people were talking about, I'm not getting the vaccine. I don't want the vaccine. That's fine.
Mhm.
That's your choice, right?
Your
And
prerogative.
that's you. Everybody has a right to do whatever they want to do. But we talked about it could possibly be mandated that your employer can mandate it. And then you gave them the reasons why it can be made or the exceptions outside of the mandate, right? So you told us there are
Right.
two reasons that you can
Right.
get an exception.
So there are two exceptions. So the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the commission that was created as a result of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and that's the commission that has oversight over equality in the workplace, discrimination, sexual harassment, and so they issued their thoughts regarding the matter and stated that employers could indeed mandate that employees get the vaccine. Now there are two exceptions. There's a religious exception and there's a health exception. But that just doesn't mean someone can say, "Oh, hallelujah, I got religion, and
Yeah,
so I don't have to get the vaccine," or
right.
it's my health. I don't have to get the vaccine and they can go on about their business. That's not what that
Yeah.
means. What I said in the previous podcast was that there was work on both ends, both the employee's end and the employer's end. the employees end to speak up. And if they have this religious exception and there are things that the employer could ask for and require, that's called engaging in the interactive process
Yeah.
on both ends, on the religion end, pursuant to um, the Civil Rights Act, 1964 Civil Rights Act, and on the health end, pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so
So
that's one of the first keys. Mhm.
okay, so long as I got King Jesus, that's not enough,
That's
right?
not that's not enough. That's not
um
enough because even King Jesus wants you to do things decently and
so
in order, and there's some
so
responsibilities that go
so
along with that.
Tonya, no, because Tonya, my faith says, my faith, I don't believe that I have to take the vaccine. I just it don't rest with my spirit.
Yeah, that's not Sister Jenkins and religious exception just because it doesn't just sit
It
right
don't sit
in
with my
my
spirit.
spirit. There's a leak in this old building and my soul has got to move away from that vaccine. That's not how this works. That's not
Okay,
how this works.
so
Mm-mm,
can Pastor so and so write a letter for me and say that I can't take the vaccine because long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else.
no, Pastor so and so, he's got to get somewhere and sit down because he's going to cause that tithing church member to lose their job, and that particular tithe is going to dry up because that's not how that works. And it has to be first and foremost that your faith declines all all religious based medicinal help,
Yeah.
blood transfusions, um, any type of injection. So that's just the first step. And then with religion, with health, you have to show that you have a serious health condition that forbids you or won't allow you to take that vaccine. It could be adverse to your health, and then the employer engages in the interactive process to see if they can accommodate you. And if it causes what the law says is an undue burden or hardship, then they can't accommodate you. A lot of people think they can just present a note from pastor,
Mm-hmm.
um, or their rabbi or Buddha or whatever their faith is, and they could go about their business and do their job. Or they could say, okay, I have this health exception and present a note from their doctor and then go about their business and do their job. No, no, that's just step one. And then they have to see if they can accommodate you.
Yeah.
And so that is the first step. There was just a few weeks ago, a woman presented a religious exception,
Uh-huh.
and her employer did their due diligence to try to do the interactive process with her. And okay, they said we have an opening that we can put you in. It was she was working, of course, in the brick and mortar building, her company, and it was a work from home position, but it paid significantly less than she was currently making. And she asked them, "Well, can I just keep my current job and work from home?" Which she didn't
Uh-uh.
have a current her job duties. Most of her job duties did not involve her working from home. Then the next thing she asked was, "Okay, well, if I take that job, can I keep my current rate of pay and take this work from home job?"
Uh-uh.
They said that job does not pay this. It was more of a customer service work from home job, and it paid significantly less than her current job. So after all of her questions, and they
Mm-hmm.
said, "Look, this is the accommodation we have for you. This work from home job that's significantly less, but this is to accommodate your religious exception to our vaccine mandate. And so you're going to have to take this job at this rate of pay, or we don't have anything for you, or you get the vaccine." All of a sudden, she didn't go to that church anymore. All of a sudden.
Oh.
Mhm.
Uh.
All of a sudden.
So,
Mhm.
I know, and hi to everyone that's watching. We do have some comments. Hello. And
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
so Tanya, we've heard, people say, well, our policy doesn't require this, or our policy doesn't say that if I don't get the vaccine, our policy. So I know we do trainings, and I, we have to talk about the policies up against the law and which one supersedes the other. So what if the
Yes.
policies that don't mention anything about vaccines, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
the employer comes in and say, well, it's the new requirement.
Well, let me tell you about policies, everybody. COVID just sprang up last year in March of 2020. Some employers have not touched their policy and procedure handbooks since we were arguing about who was better between Prince versus Michael Jackson. And so it's been a
Wait,
long
since
time.
the 90s, the early
Yes, absolutely. Remember when we used to argue about that? Who
90s?
was better between Prince and
Prince,
Michael Jackson?
I don't know. I was gonna say Prince. I
I,
changed it.
I was
I
about to say
know
Michael. I don't
Mike.
know.
Okay, yeah,
But
both.
that's how long some employers have not updated their policies. And so when they roll out that new vaccine mandate, that's an update to the policy. That's an update to the
Regardless if they
policy.
updated their physical policy.
Absolutely. Employers, that is them updating, that is them rolling out and saying, we are adding this into the policy. So you have to understand that. So when they state that, because policies are a living, moving document. And the law has stated, now there's not a nationwide congressional law that states you have to get mandate, but even the president has now issued some executive orders and some mandates for some federal employees, those particular, federal employees, everyone. And so, again, policy and procedure manuals are living, breathing, moving documents. And so, when they issue out that mandate, they are updating their policies, that particular policy. They are adding that in now. And when they give you a deadline date, they are saying, yes, this is now a policy requirement, XYZ place of employment. And even if you come with a religious or health related exception, that does not mean you just get to go about your business. They're going to see if they can accommodate you. You might not like the accommodation, like that young lady who all of a sudden did lay her religion down by the riverside when she realized that she couldn't keep her money. And they said, it's that job. Oh, that's all we got. And so, yeah, and she got that vaccine. Hallelujah. She got
Yeah,
that
I
vaccine.
bet. I bet. So
Hmm.
United Airlines. So I saw that
Yes.
article,
Hmm.
and they're laying off. I think it says 600 people at
It was
first.
at
It
first.
started
Hmm.
until the people saw that that fire got hot.
They got, some of those people got the vaccine. And I just read that the state of Washington, because there were 1,700 workers, 1,700 workers who were granted either a religious or health exception. They were granted that exemption. However, the state has come back and said, because of what are the two factors, everybody? Undue burden and hardship, we can't accommodate everybody. And so I believe they've got until the 18th of October, and either those workers are going to get the vaccine, or there's 1,700 people
Mm.
are going to be laid off, because although they were granted those exemptions, they said, we can't accommodate you. We can't accommodate you.
So I
Hmm.
know we're gonna have a part three to this
We're going
with
to have to.
we got a part three to this, guys, with our connection, and we have a relationship with someone who works for the EEOC.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
we're gonna do the third part of this, because I know so many people. Well, I'm just gonna sue. I'm just gonna sue because they can't make me. And I've also heard people say, this is a violation of my HIPAA rights. And
Ooh,
I know
ooh.
that
Mm, mm,
I know that just
mm.
does something to you every time
Girl,
somebody talks
oh,
about HIPAA. Uh,
oh, let me just tell everybody, this is not a violation of your HIPAA rights. The other one that they say, T, is this a violation of my right to privacy, and also my freedom of speech to speak up against the vaccine. You can speak out against the vaccine all you want, as long as you get your shot and show up for work tomorrow. And so now with HIPAA, everybody, HIPAA protects our medical information. Healthcare workers, insurance companies, and healthcare clearinghouses are the three covered entities under HIPAA. And if anybody listening, Capture Training Solutions will gladly come and do a HIPAA training for your organization. So you will gladly understand that. Back to our regular scheduled program. And so the three, it's health insurance providers, it's health insurance, your doctor or healthcare clearinghouses. They are the only ones who are covered by HIPAA. Your employer asking you to get the vaccine, that is not a violation of HIPAA. We misuse and abuse that law so much. No, that is not. And as far as your freedom of speech and your right to privacy, there's some levels of privacy that we give up when we walk in the door. And it's also not a right to privacy for them to require you to get this vaccine. That is also, now that's why reading and learning is so fundamental.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a lot of people probably are thinking about the ADA privacy as a, they use the word HIPAA, but I sit up under you long enough to know that to use
Mhm.
HIPAA, it is not HIPAA. And please don't say,
Absolutely.
to all of you that are listening, if you're managing someone, it's not a violation of HIPAA. It's a violation most of the time of the ADA privacy.
Privacy clause.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That simply means that, let's say that you do get COVID, then your manager cannot announce it at the weekly staff meeting, whether it's live or Zoom. Well, we need to keep TJ lifted up in prayer.
Because
She
COVID done took her down through there.
took her down. No, they would have to get your permission.
Yeah.
They also, if you have a health related reason, or you got the vaccine, but you also have some health issues go along with it, and maybe HR knows, and just very few people, they cannot share that. That's the part of the ADA privacy provision, not HIPAA, not HIPAA. Now, this is how HIPAA works. HR can't look in your health insurance documentation, or your health insurance providers rather cannot just share something with HR or your managers. Then your health insurance providers, even if your employer is self-insured, would be violating HIPAA. That is how it works. But just asking you to get the vaccine and then having you show your vaccination card is not a violation of HIPAA, and it's not a violation of the actual law that you mean to talk about when you're misusing the HIPAA word, the ADA privacy provision. It's not.
Doesn't
Absolutely not.
violate. So if
Hmm.
your employer says we need to verify your vaccine, now your vaccination. Now I heard that there was a lady. Did you hear about the lady that was selling fake vaccination cards?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No,
Yes,
no, she wasn't.
yes.
She
Not
was so.
she
Wait,
was selling the vaccination cards. So she's been arrested
mm,
with a
mm, mm.
federal charge on her for the fake vaccine cards.
So she was selling fake vaccine cards, like the fake IDs that
Yeah,
college kids get too.
yeah. She'll get you a good old vaccination card and
Mm-mm,
put your Pfizer dates and everything on there. And so
mm-mm.
she's been found out. So we don't want the fake cards. So,
No, they need
but
to
your
be
employer can ask for
right.
the
Yes,
vaccination
they
card.
can, and just like the airlines can ask to see them,
Mhm.
just like if you leave the country right now, um, they
They're
can
asking.
ask it to see them. Absolutely. So there are several different entities. There are even some private events, I believe, in New York City, restaurants. If you're going to
Yeah.
sit down and eat in the restaurant, they want to see your vaccination card.
I saw New Orleans
Mhm.
is doing that also.
Oh,
They're going
are
to start
they?
requiring the vaccination cards. Yes. So I
Hmm.
it's a really ugly subject though. Because we have so many people with so many different beliefs towards it, and they absolutely have that right. You have the
Hmm.
right to choose to do for your body as you want. The only thing is when you go in these good folks' job, that you kind of lose that right to do what you want to do, and you can argue all day long about
Hmm.
what your belief is, but right now People
Right.
are losing their jobs.
They're losing their jobs. And let me just tell you, if you say, well, I'm gonna lose, I just quit and start my own. Well, I will just tell you, TJ and I are entrepreneurs. We own
Yes.
our company, capture it. But if we got a client that wanted us to come in and do some trainings, but they said, but ladies, before we can have you come in and we hire you to do this training, we need to see both of your vaccine cards. We would show them. So no man is an island. So if you think, well, I'm just going to quit and start my own business, understand that even as an entrepreneur, starting your own business, unless you're just going to work from your house, never leaving your computer, which some people do, you have to understand that even your clients, if you're an entrepreneur, can require it or ask it of you. And
Yeah.
so there's this is such a big part of the fabric of our life now, with a disease that's, the number said, what, 700,000 people's lives have been lost in just a little over a year. And so a disease of that magnitude, so whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a theater, there are theaters now, they're saying that several of the Broadway shows, because they had to shut down one of the Disney shows right after it opened last week, because several of the cast members came down with COVID. So they're now saying that several of the Broadway shows are going to require you to show your vaccine card, or you just won't be seeing taking your children to see the
The
Lion
Lion
King.
King.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You just gonna have
Yeah,
to watch it at home.
at
And
home.
for people who if you don't want to do what they're what is asked of you at work, then you may want to look for somewhere else that may accommodate what you feel is right for your body. You absolutely have that right.
Hmm.
We take that position. Both of us are gladly vaccinated, though I couldn't wait to get the
I
vaccine.
could not
Yeah.
wait. I was mad at first when they were saying lawyers were not essential workers. Remember when they were only
Yes,
giving it out to essential workers? And
I
I was
do
like,
remember.
lawyers are essential.
You not.
And
Yeah. Yeah. No. But yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So after you got COVID, then you were later able to get the vaccine
Right. And our husbands, both our husbands were labeled essential workers. Yes, with
and
your
bought
husband.
COVID to us
Didn't they though?
because we
Didn't
went
they
home.
though?
Yes, and
Working
they
from
worked
home.
outside the house, and both of them bought.
And bought it to us, but they got the vaccines first. But I could not wait. But yeah, so this question comes up all the
Often.
time. So
Yeah,
so employers, they're escorting people literally out the doors, out the
and you can't
doors.
call Tanya to
Mm-mm.
file a lawsuit for you because you don't want to take the vaccine. That's the purpose of us coming on
Hmm.
today. This podcast episode today. And guys, go we talk about real life issues that's going on in the
Hmm.
workplace. That's what we're all about. Like we have a podcast called Don't Let Social Media episode rather, Don't Let Social Media Get You
And
Fired.
we might have
We
to do a part two of that one, T.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff, foolishness that goes on, and how this can affect you. How is it possible that something that you are doing on your own personal time could cause you to lose your job? Well, it's
Hmm.
possible. We talk
It's
about
possible.
workplace harassment. So we are giving you the tips and the tools, and these are the things that we train on. So you're just getting a little insight into one of our training sessions.
Right. And you
So
mentioned that. Oh, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
go, Tanya. You were
I,
saying?
you were mentioning our podcast episode on don't let social media get you fired. We really will have to do a part two, because speaking of COVID, the vaccines and the mask, there's some people losing their jobs because things are getting posted on social media and the news. People going to these meetings, like these school board meetings, fighting the school board members, spitting on people, yelling and cursing, and those things are being recorded, and employers are seeing that over the fact that they don't want children wearing masks at school. And so, or their actions and their activities, and they're being posted on social media, so they're losing their jobs. So yes, we'll definitely have to do a part two of that one. So as we can see, COVID is hitting just about every aspect of what we do, and our work is so important, because my parents taught me grown folks go to work.
Yeah.
And so Absolutely. And I know
So we
you can
have a
talk that
question
too.
from our friend saying, "Hey, Lisa, look, Tanya, we got a question from
Hey,
Lisa. Lisa
hey,
Smith,
Lisa.
how you been, Lisa? Okay, so do you think there will be an exception for natural immunity from having COVID, Tanya?
Now, there's is a couple of things when it comes to natural immunity, because doctors are saying that that immunity will only last for a short window of time. Now, of course, being a lawyer and not even a doctor playing one on TV, my BFF and I've talked about this all the time. And so, and it's up to the employer if they want to make that exception. And everybody, don't look for the lawmakers anytime soon, because Congress can't even get together and stick and pass a budget. So don't look for any type of laws at this point. So right now, the EEOC hasn't any issued any thorough guidance. And so right now it will be up to employers if they want to institute into their newly established policies and procedures an exception for natural immunity, um, or an exception, in other words, for immunity if someone has had COVID. But again, doctors and healthcare workers are saying that that window is very small, very, very small, of how long that immunity will last. And so right now, it's just up to employers. Everything, because there is not a vaccination law. There's not like a federal vaccination act. And so right now, some employers may be laying out that exception, but that will require employers also to be able to ask questions, which again is not a violation of HIPAA. Everybody.
Not a violation. Okay,
That's a great question, Lisa. And how
we
you
have another
doing?
question from our friend Keith. Hey, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
So Keith wants to know, does Regeneron count as a vaccine? Keith, I don't know what Regeneron is,
Now,
so I'm
Keith, you talking to a lawyer and a manager, but let me tell you what the streets are saying.
what's the
No,
streets say?
no, they are. It's not. Once again, talk to
I
my
have no
friend.
clue what it is, so I'm glad you even know how to answer the question.
Right. What they're saying so far right now, the vaccines are Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson and Johnson. Those are the ones that the CDC so far have approved so far. But now stay tuned. But right now Regeneron has not been. It's just those three: Pfizer, Moderna, you know, and Johnson and Johnson. And if anybody from those three are listening, capture it. We can absolutely come and do a training for you as well.
And Keith, I don't look. Regeneron sounded like a vitamin to me. I didn't know what they was over there taking, Keith,
Right.
but I don't think.
Hmm.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa loving the podcast. So thank you. Please, guys, our podcast is located anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere.
Hmm.
Go look us up. And we have some very quite entertaining conversations
Absolutely.
about the workplace. And Lisa, we probably need to have you on with us one of
We
these days
will.
because I know you have plenty of things you've seen in the workplace to discuss with
That's an
us.
open invitation right now, Lisa. That is an open invitation.
Oh, Keith said it was supposed to be the one that Trump took, supposedly. Okay, all right.
Now,
Well,
now he took. Understand though, he also took some additional
yeah, he had
first
a
class
concoction.
medication, and that's what Keith is talking about. He
Okay.
did. He took some really first class information, and what we may have to do too is have a medical expert on as well. We may have to have parts 3 and 4
Yeah.
of this, and we will send out a notice as well. And so that's why they say keep your world of influence big for the lives that you touch. And also I believe too, not being either you're a jack of all trades or a master of none. And so just being an employment attorney, any of the medical information I'm giving you, it's because of the medical experts that I have talked to and ask questions about. But the employment law information, you can take it to the bank and cash it, because I
Yeah.
will come with receipts.
Yeah. And I can help
Absolutely.
you with the manager part, but keep that. Yeah. So I see
Absolutely.
Melanie. Melanie Hilliard
Hey,
said.
hey, Mel.
Is that Mel, the famous, the
Yes,
infamous Mel? Mel, I hear a lot about you. So
yes.
Mel is the
Hi.
doctor. Is she the doctor
Mel
too?
is a pharmaceutical rep, a
Pharmaceutical rep.
fabulous
Okay.
pharmaceutical rep who does her job. I mean, in the utmost of you talking about black girl magic excellence.
All right. So Regeneron is an
Absolutely.
antibody treatment to reduce symptoms of COVID-19.
Yes,
So thank you for
she
that,
knows. Thank you so much, Mia. Absolutely.
because
And
I'm
so
clueless.
yes, absolutely. And what we want to emphasize again, there are people, and the lawsuits are going to go up because one thing about lawyers, we will take your money. Absolutely. If we know that you may not even have a case, we will take your money.
Some
So the
some people will. You won't do that. You
right,
tell
no, if you
people.
I tell
You
people you don't have a case. You
yeah.
don't have
You
a
don't
case.
just take
But
people's
some
case.
lawyers, yeah, and when I say we, I'm talking about the legal profession. So the lawsuits are going to go up. But if employers their due diligence, have done their due diligence, like that employer I was telling you about with the woman who all of a sudden said, I'm all right then.
Yeah.
I don't really need to go to that church anyway. They did their due diligence and they realized this is the only job we have for you. It's going to pay less. You're going to work from home. It's going to pay less. And after she tried everything, they said we cannot pay you your same salary and have you doing this job. There's other workers. Then that's going to create probably perhaps a discrimination case. And then, so all of a sudden, when all of her options are up, because that's the biggest thing with this misunderstanding. People think if they have a religious exemption or a health exemption, they can go on about their business. No, you have opened the door for the interactive process, and you might not like the reasonable accommodation that the employer has for you. And see, that's the true test, because that's one of the biggest misconceptions. People think they can bring a note from their pastor and just skip to the loo on back to do their job. No, what you're doing is opening the door and saying, can I have an accommodation? And that accommodation might have you wearing a hazmat suit to work every day, looking like you going to blast up into space. It might mean you taking a job that's less pay, them sticking you in a corner away from everybody. It might mean a bunch of things, but it does not mean, please everybody tell folks this, that you can just bring a note and go on about your business. That's not what that means. So stop bothering your pastor about that.
Well,
Absolutely. Yeah. You see, I
okay.
get a little fed up with this foolishness.
Yeah. I see. Y'all see
Mhm.
too? Yeah, we
I,
see.
I'm sorry. I get
Hey,
fed up with
I
this
do have a
foolishness.
question though. I have a
Uh-huh.
question, and we haven't talked about this. So, what's the difference if someone has a medical reason that they can't take the vaccine? What's the difference in the way you treat them versus someone who is disabled, like a pregnant person? Okay, for instance, a pregnant person who can't take the
Okay, TJ, you froze. Okay. And so I think we might be having some technical difficulties. And so when TJ gets back up, and so I think, and everybody, I'm sending her live a text message that she froze up. And but there is no, actually, everybody, there is no difference. It's still the same reasonable accommodation steps that have to be put into place. There's still the same accommodations. And if an employer cannot accommodate, and again, you accommodate based on
okay.
cost. And I was getting ready to text you or call you and say you froze up.
I
I said,
see. I'm
but that's
sorry.
what technology. But I followed right with you with your question. And so there's no difference, even if somebody, and we have to understand that with pregnant women, that's not a disability. However, if what you were asking is what's the difference, like if you have somebody who is handicapable, I like to say, and maybe they are in a wheelchair and they can still perform the essential functions of a job, but they need an accommodation. Well, the employer still has to engage in the interactive process. There are some jobs for which you can accommodate everybody, and there's some jobs for which you can't. And most of the time with the ADA, employers get in trouble because they did not even try, they did not even engage in the interactive process. So if
Okay.
somebody brought paperwork saying, I have this health exception. I can't get the vaccine. And if the employer said, get that paper on away from me and get somewhere and sit down, that person better call me, because
Okay.
that employer did not engage in the interactive process. And so, whether it's the COVID um, vaccine that they have an aversion to, or whether they have lost their eyesight, the steps, hear me now, are the same. The steps are the same. It's the ADA interactive process. And you look to see if you can accommodate based on cost and based on the impact to the job. Is it going to put more burden on your coworkers trying to accommodate you for whatever ailment or health matter you have? And it's the same with religious accommodations. We may have to just do a whole podcast on that one. Like if um, there was a case where this young lady got religion, she worked at Hooters. She didn't want to wear the outfit anymore. You
Oh,
know, that little
so
piece of cloth they
she
wear.
got saved and didn't want to wear the band-aid
Right,
no
but
more
she
to work.
still wanted those tips. She still wanted those good tips. And how could they accommodate that? She coming to work at Hooters in her choir robe. How can they accommodate that? But they tried the interactive process and they said we can't accommodate that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That
that's
would have been cute. She'd had a little robe on
her little
and
choir
said,
robe
Hooters.
and said,
I
like,
bet you her tips would have went down anyway.
right, they were looking at the cost factor.
Her
Oh,
tips would have down because her tips had gone down.
she couldn't wear the outfit and she couldn't deliver alcohol. She couldn't deliver
Oh,
alcohol. So they was going to have to burden her coworkers anytime they had to bring alcohol and that was too much. But I would give Hooters this, even though, you know, but once again, I would at least they engaged in the interactive process. Even in their
okay.
mind, if they're thinking this is ridiculous, they engaged in the interactive process. So the steps are the same. Sometimes you can accommodate, sometimes you can't. And that's what's happening. I just read with Washington State. They cannot accommodate those 1,700 workers that had the exemption, either religious or health exemptions. It's too much of a cost and or impact burden.
All
Right.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a good conversation. We will have a part three
Yes.
with the EEOC guys. So you'll be able, if you look, if you don't believe us,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, if you don't believe, well, don't believe me because I listen to her.
And
If
I
you don't
come with
believe,
my receipts,
if you
absolutely.
don't believe her law degree, that's
Yeah.
fine. Wait
And
till you hear
years
from yes, and years of practicing.
employment law.
And it's only don't ask her about criminal stuff because she says she get
Mm-mm-mm.
that from Law and Order. She don't know
Yeah,
anything
I don't
about
fool with
criminal.
criminal law. Mm-mm. Or family law. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yes. So, what about if we get the people at the EEOC on the line? You can ask them the questions yourself. So, we will have our
Mm-hmm.
guest from the EEOC with us for the part three of Take the Vaccine or Lose Your Job.
Absolutely. And we, like I said, we may have to do a follow up with the social media one as it relates to COVID and the vaccine. And so, have we answered everybody's questions,
We
T?
have answered all the
And,
questions.
and so, as the pastor said, are all minds clear?
uh, and composed. So we thank
Yes.
you all for listening to us and jumping on with us. This was our first time doing it live. Again, we are anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us. You can also find us, our podcast, by going to www.capturit.com. And that's capture, KAPCHURIT.com. And you'll find courses that we have and some upcoming trainings and everything else. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
And
Have a
we are
great rest of your nights,
also
everybody.
available for trainings for your company. Absolutely.
You can reach out to us at capture.com. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thank
night.
you. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.